What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Beyond Meat. I want to go over some of the data points, what's moving it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Beyond Meat is lagging a little bit, down 9.38%, $1.88 the low, $2.23 the high. In fact, during their overnight trading, I even posted this on my Patreon, that it should be on a lot of people's radar because it was at like $1.70. So it was getting hit quite hard. A lot of that has to do with the 8K that they did put out after hours on Friday, which did go over a lot of their preliminary earnings. Of course, they are still having it set for right here. So on November the 4th, these are some of the current estimates. So negative 43 cents for earnings per share, 69.7 million for the revenue, but they did go over some kind of estimates. So the net revenue is expected to be roughly around 70 million. And currently you can kind of see that the analysts, so the only two analysts that are giving estimates on that, are anticipating between 69.5 to 70. So did do fairly well from their estimates, of course, but still generally, I think there's a lot of money that they're burning through. So operational expenses did range from around 41 to 43 million. So ultimately, long story short, this is exactly why it is going down. So they did this just to kind of pull it off like a band-aid. So you're seeing a little bit of pain, but at the end of the day, this is why I always like to go over where volume is coming from. So for instance, at the time doing this video, we're seeing 175 million shares being traded, 281 is the average. So even though it is largely red, a lot of people would be assuming that it's institution selling. It is just being artificially pushed lower because, again, of that 8K. Because if we kind of look over here on the secondary market, you're actually seeing quite the opposite picture being played out, because you're seeing a lot of big money buying the dip. You have three sells right here for 401,000, 183, and then 106, but everything else is a buy. At the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing about 608,000 shares. 21.43% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 82.3 million shares overall being shorted. I feel like over the weekend, this was a very hot topic, was the true short interest. So Friday we did have a update from the exchange, and this is where a lot of platforms such as Ortex, Fintel, and so forth really were going back and forth with their numbers. And so it kind of went from about 20% short interest to like 140 back down to 20. So it's kind of all over the place, but in my opinion, this is kind of the accurate one. Unless they are diluting behind the scenes, then of course this could be wrong. But as far as this, it is showing 21.43%. So you're seeing shorts increase a small amount, but most of the volume being done today is linked to algorithmic trading. Like I said, just artificially suppressing Beyond Meat. There hasn't been any news from them today or any SEC filings, so it is just, like I said, at the mercy of algos for the most part. Looking at the options, 9.1 million in calls, 5.3 in puts, 48% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. And this is why I like to go over a lot of the data points behind the scenes. And so again, you're seeing a certain level of optimism from their earnings, which again is on the 4th. You see a implied move of 49.61%. So this is going to be a crazy earnings. Coming from a bull standpoint, there is a consensus for it to be roughly around that 3 to 350. So a nice recovery sometime this week. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub kind of $1. So they are anticipating a full-on breakdown and things just to kind of go down from here. Aside from that, one thing that I did bring up on my Friday video was this 204. So right now with that 199, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 204 is going to be that key point. You really want to watch for it to get above and close above. That's very important. I know a lot of people don't really like to look at the technicals. They just get in because of it being a squeeze play. But from a technical standpoint, that 204 is a big deal. So kind of just watch for that. But then again, 223 has been the high. So it's not crazy like do or die. But I think generally, if you want to see some good momentum building behind the scenes and have algos on your side, then definitely you need that. Aside from all of that fun stuff on the actual chart itself, because of it pushing lower, it is wedge bound between that 50 and 10-day moving average. So definitely shows some momentum is still a little bit there, but not nearly what it was when it started to really kind of break higher. Looking at the market position right over here, you see a little bit more willing sellers, regrettably. So you have this gap, and this is something, again, I did bring up in my weekend video, where we could see a potential push lower to that 153. As far as the overnight, as far as I'm aware, it went to around that 170, 168 range. But still, I think during the trading day, if things don't kind of build up and we don't see a push higher, then you could see a retest of that general area that hit during the overnight. But there really hasn't been all that much in news. There's a lot of big plays, speculative plays, more specifically ASST, so Strive, and they are really moving higher. So that was kind of the hot topic over the weekend. So I think Beyond Meat is just, it's still a momentum play, and it still might have its time in the sun, but I think them pulling off the band-aid from that 8K definitely did do a lot of damage. So let me know your thoughts on Beyond Meat. Are you a buyer right now? Do you still believe in it? Are you taking profits? Because I know when it did run up like this on, for instance, the 22nd, probably a lot of people bought near kind of the peak, and they're kind of stuck and they don't know essentially what to do, if you average down or if you just kind of take the loss. So it is a little bit more of a tricky scenario right now. So let me know your viewpoint and like what you are doing. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.